Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here. So many familiar faces now. I feel very at home in Holland. And I'm so grateful for this day, that we have the whole day together to open up to the presence of the Holy Spirit, to the light of the Holy Spirit, to the clarity of the Holy Spirit. And it is our shared prayer for the day that the Holy Spirit be in charge. He is the healer, the one who knows. He is our guide, the source of all wisdom and love, being the voice for God, the call to remember God. So today is a day to really explore the topics, the themes of trust and guidance, because this is our journey, this is our whole walk. It's a development of trust. It's a surrender of personal control, personal will, personal mind, personal self, to be released from this identification with being separate, being alone, being individual, being autonomous, to come so fully into the direct experience that I am not alone. I am hearing, I am being shown, I am being guided, I am loved, I am listening. To the point where that becomes so strong, so consistent, that who I am becomes identified with that which is guiding me. So it's a very natural progression from I've got it, I'm doing it, I'm thinking for myself, which didn't get us very far as consistent peace and consistent happiness goes. But now we're very aware of the need for guidance. We're very aware that we need help. And so our path is set. And in the Course, Jesus has some beautiful lines where it's very reassuring, basically saying you cannot mess this up. You cannot mess it up. It's already done. The truth is, the correction for the belief in separation was given in the same instant that it appeared to arise. So the belief in separation may still be lingering in the mind and playing out in this realm of belief and perception. But the fact of the matter is, I am one with God, and that has not changed. Nothing can change eternal love. Nothing has more power than God. What but an arrogant thought could think, I have more power than God? So a big part of the journey is seeing the pride that's underneath this whole realm of me and I and my. So it's a humbling journey, a very humbling journey, humbling to the ego, because the ego is the part of the mind with pride and then believes it has to be humbled. It doesn't like the idea of humbling. It would much rather be successful. But what we're going to explore and see is that all of these different traits and qualities have nothing to do with Christ. And who we truly are is a presence. It's a presence beyond the need to improve, beyond the need to push for anything. Because it's beyond failure. So in that sense, there is nothing to overcome, there is nothing to achieve in who we truly are. It's a returning to the awareness. It's a returning to being present. It's a mind training practice that we're all going through to train our mind to be present, to train our mind to be here, to train our mind to listen, to train our mind to forgive, to release. So that who we are can be in our awareness. Because it's already here. Always already here. So I'm going to start off our day just sharing on these topics, and then at some point just open it up for questions. Yeah, also if there's anything that feels emotional that comes up for you, anything that makes you feel a little vulnerable that you wouldn't want to speak it in a group, that is often where the healing is. So I just really welcome you to take advantage of today. Take advantage of me being here. Just know that I'm here for you. This whole day is for you. It's a shift of mindset. It's a shift of thinking to realize this. That what if this is all for me? Because we're addicted to having a state of mind that is thinking about others, thinking about the world, thinking about it's beyond an addiction. It's manifested into a state of mind where the belief in external is just taken for granted. It has been learned and overlearned and learned and overlearned so thoroughly that who we are has been completely forgotten, and the awareness that this is all my mind has been so pushed out of awareness that it seems strange to even open up to that idea. It seems foreign and unknown that this could all be my mind. Because the mind has become so addicted to projection. It's constantly projecting. Your mind in every moment is either in a state of extension or projection. Extension is when you're extending who you are. And who are you? Who you are is love, as a child of God. Who you are is peace. Who you are is innocence. Who you are is light. So Your natural state. Your natural, thank you. I'm grateful for all the translation. So your natural state is when you are extending who you are. And this is done through your attitude. It is done through being connected with the Spirit. Sometimes it is you're extending truth, extending light, extending love through words. Sometimes it's through a hug. Sometimes it's through music, where there's really no difference between the person who seems to be sitting there playing and the vibration of the notes coming out through a harp. You can feel the source of where those notes are coming from. It's all connected. It's an extension. It's coming out as an extension. So the mind is either in that state, and it doesn't have to look like something in form. In fact, Jesus says in the Course, a teacher of God can heal the world without making a sound. So that wipes out Mother Teresa-itis. That wipes out. If you happen to be the personality type who's like, I have to serve, I need to fix, I need to heal, I need to do something. Right? If Jesus comes along and says, actually, the teacher of God can heal the world without making a sound. That gives us full permission, doesn't it? Full permission to go, whoa. Maybe I can stop. Perhaps resting in God is one of the most productive, supportive, all-inclusive gifts that I have to give. So then you can think of Ramana Maharshi. Someone like Ramana Maharshi, the silent sage. He would sit in presence, sit in silence with these glowing eyes. His identification, his state of mind is clearly with God. And people would come and sit in his presence. And their minds would heal. Their minds would go still. Sometimes there were words. But a lot of the time, the need for words is almost over. There's a line in the Course too. So our mind is either extending who we are. It can look like Ramana Maharshi, and it can look like Mother Teresa. When I said Mother Teresa-itis, it was a play on words. It was saying if you have this drive, believing you need to fix and heal and save the world outside of yourself, there's something underneath that is not coming from God. Because Mother Teresa herself, when she had a new group of women showing up, saying, I want to work with you, I want to serve with you, she was very direct with them. Because she did not need her hospitals being filled up with exhausted nuns, full of false empathy, trying to save people. She said to them, I don't need numbers. And this is coming from someone who has, say, 1 million people in need of help, lying on the streets in reach. And she said to those women, I don't need numbers. You are not here to be a number. We are here to see the Christ in everyone we meet. That is our purpose. And then how we are guided to support with letting the love of Christ come through us Whether it's pouring a glass of water, or bandaging someone, carrying someone into the hospital, that is just the backdrop. That's just how it looks. But our purpose is to see the Christ. It's to remember I'm here to extend Christ and see Christ. There's nothing exhausting in that. You cannot burn out if that is your purpose. Ego burnout has nothing to do with serving Christ. And we've all experienced ego burnout, haven't we? So our mind is extending or projecting. And projection is when we're not connected with who we are. And so the mind is projecting onto the external world what it doesn't want to see within. And in the subtlest way, every time you perceive and believe in suffering, and you feel it, and you react to it, there's projection involved. There's projection. And the healing of projection is pulling it back. And the healing of projection is pulling back my perception to my own mind, taking full responsibility for sight. Full responsibility for sight. And why is all of this important if our main theme is trust and guidance? Well, if we are completely distracted with the external world, if our mind is completely occupied with other people, the environment, the world, thinking for others, how can we possibly hear the Holy Spirit if our mind, the direction of our thinking is external? You tell me who I am. You tell me how to feel. If I'm constantly judging and interpreting what I'm seeing as being real, then I'll be reacting and responding to that. Whereas asking for guidance, listening for guidance, is a totally different direction for the mind. It's an inward direction. So we have to go through a total reversal of the direction of our thinking. We've been addicted to the external world, as if it's really external to us, but now we're aware of the metaphysics. Metaphysics means beyond the physical. We're aware of the truth. Beyond the physical appearances. It's all my mind. So everything I perceive, everything without exception, can be seen as a reflection of something that I believe in my mind. And there are some great witnesses of this. There's a movie, a documentary, What the Bleep Do We Know? Some of you may have seen it. But there is one scene in this documentary where there is a beach and an ocean and a Native American Indian standing on the beach looking out onto the ocean, and he could see some wave patterns in the water that were unfamiliar. He had no concept of what a ship was. There were ships coming towards the beach, towards the shore, and he could not see the ship. He didn't know what it was. He had no concept of it. It wasn't until the ships were almost right at the shore where suddenly there was some awareness of like, oh, it's wood. What is that? Oh, there's people on it. And then they could see. So much of it's directly related. It's directly connected to what I believe is what I perceive. What I believe is what I perceive. So if I believe in victimization, I will see a world with victimization playing out. Guaranteed. There is no other way. It's a mirror. It has to show me what I believe. It has to. So our journey through forgiveness is a process, you could say, of clearing the lens of perception. Through forgiveness, we take total responsibility for what we are seeing, what we are perceiving. There's a fine line in this that's important, because there is guilt in our mind from believing we're separated from God. So the ego can come in with, oh, well, you're responsible for it. Then if you see it, then you're responsible for it. And I heard of that at one point. There was some Course in Miracles teachers who were actually saying that. Yeah, it's your fault. Those starving children in Africa, yeah, it's your fault. You believed in the ego, you believed in separated from God, and now look what's played out. So the ego is always going to misuse every helpful idea to reinforce guilt, because the ego is guilt. Whereas the Holy Spirit is saying, no, actually, it's a perceptual problem. You're perceiving suffering. You're perceiving a world where there could be starving children in Africa. Could God create such a world? So if God did not create such a world with these kind of images, then the question becomes, and anything involving pain is not God's will. That's how it can be simplified. Very, very simple. Anything involving pain is not God's will. So we know anytime there's pain, we have to question the reality of what it is, no matter how convinced we are, no matter how long it seems to be going on for, no matter how impossible it seems, we have to be willing to question its reality. So by questioning the reality of anything involving pain, anything involving separation, it's like getting out. It's like having a lens, having a big mirror covered in dust, and all these images have been drawn on the dust. Okay? And at first, if you get your window cleaner and spray it, it probably gets really messy and muddy. It might even seem more thick and difficult to look through. But step by step, as we're there washing away through forgiveness, sometimes taking a break to wash the cloth, meditation, wash the cloth, get all the dust out, and then come back again, another area of my mind, another aspect of my life, getting out the spray with the Holy Spirit's help to have it washed away. Because the way the Holy Spirit sees, or you could say the healed perception, is where all that is reflected is a reflection of truth. So if we're looking into a mirror, all that can be reflected from that mirror is light, is loving, is connected, is harmonious. So that is healed perception, where everything is unified, everything is seen as working together for good in the truest sense. So through the ego's lens, there is conflict. It seems that one thing affects another in a negative way or a positive way. And that's a very deep belief in the mind, that there's external causes that then have effects. But the Holy Spirit brings everything back to mind. He says, no, remember, you are the dreamer of the dream. You're not a character out there at the mercy of all of this. You are the dreamer of the dream. So through this practice of forgiveness, releasing the belief in this external cause, external causes, external power, we're pulling the attention in the direction of our thinking back inward. And it's in the release and the return that we can then ask the Holy Spirit for guidance. So this whole direction is about bringing illusions to the truth. In the Course, Jesus describes how you have been bringing the truth into the illusions, or attempting, it's trying, to bring the truth into the illusions for a long time. With this idea, I have my life to live. I have dreams for my life. I want it to be a good life. I want it to look a certain way. And then praying for God to come and help, have it work out. And even spiritually, there's a lot of New Age spiritual ideas that you can create your own reality, as if you can bring God into illusions, to change the illusion, to make it better. Ideas of abundance involving the material world and having material abundance. But A Course in Miracles is a very different teaching. A Course in Miracles is the core of saying, no, you are so much more. You're worthy of knowing who you are as a child of God, and that is completely independent of this world. Who you are is this presence of light, this presence of love that is eternally free, has no needs. So the direction of our prayer, when it's bringing illusions to truth, even the good illusions, even what we secretly hope for, it's important to bring the secret dreams. Okay, Holy Spirit, well, I'll give you my diet, and I'll give you my exercise, and I'll give you my walks, Holy Spirit, and then you can come with me, and we'll go for walks together, and we'll go to the gym together, and we'll cook together, and yes, it's a great start to invite the Holy Spirit. It's a really good start, because there's an opening to say, I'm not going to hide anything from you. I'm going to invite you. I want you with me. That's a beautiful start. But where does guidance come into that? if I'm still deciding, I'm going to go for my walk and invite you, guess who's in charge? I'm still going to have my specific diets, and then I will invite you to eat with me. Subtle. But we want to go beyond. We want to be free of every unconscious belief, every fearful belief in our mind. To know our fearless and vulnerable state as light. To know our fearless and vulnerable identification as spirit. That's what we're worthy of. Because even the healthy beliefs that we feel are healthy, they're part of a dualistic thought system. To have healthy, you have unhealthy, right? So you can get the latest healthy milk, and as we've seen, it changes. It was cow's milk. Oh no, not cow's milk. Cow's milk's bad. First of all, it was good. It's very good. You have to have cow's milk. And then, oh no, cow's milk's terrible. And now we have to have soy milk. Soy milk's really good for you. Everyone should be drinking soy milk. After a little while, oh no, soy milk. Oh no, sorry, that's really bad. No one should be drinking soy milk. Almond milk. Make sure it's biological. Almond milk. Everyone should be drinking almond milk. And now, guess what? I just saw on Facebook, bad for the bees. It's killing all the bees in California. So there goes the almond milk. Now this world, one little example, just milk. Look how complicated it gets. Just with milk, Jesus Christ. Help us get out of this thought system. That's just milk. No? It's so complicated in this world. And the Holy Spirit and Jesus are so loving, they're not going to rip away the biological milk. It's not about suddenly saying, I don't believe in that anymore, I can just eat McDonald's every day and I'll be fine. That's not it either. We have to be unwound from the beliefs in our mind. And only the Holy Spirit knows how to do that, so that we don't try to be a spiritual, metaphysical Nazi and then just rubber band back to the beginning when we just say it's too much, it's too hard. The belief in sacrifice is very deep in our mind. So we have to be guided through a loving guide to be loosened from everything that we now believe in. So every healthy has an unhealthy. So we just want to be aware of that. We want to be aware that every time we go shopping, every time we make a coffee, every time we have cereal and we pour that milk, we're just looking, observing. Because every untrue belief is coming from a thought system of fear. And we have tried to convince ourselves that, no, I'm going to do everything right, I'll do everything healthy, so that I'm not in fear. Right? I will look after this body so well that I can push away any sense of fear because I'm healthy. But has that actually worked? Are we free of fear? And you can answer the question by saying, am I consistently peaceful? Consistently peaceful. So we just don't want to be in denial. We don't want to be in denial with ourselves. We want to be aware of our own mind. And that's all we need to do, is just be aware. Be willing to bring what we're thinking, what we're believing, to the Holy Spirit. So the Holy Spirit can guide us. part of what happens as you're just softening up around what you believe you need, how things have to be. As we loosen up and become more relaxed about everything, then our mind can be open to experiencing that the Holy Spirit is the one guiding me. And that's the point. That's the most important point. The milk is not important. It would be fine if you ended up drinking almond milk for the rest of your life, this lifetime. It would be absolutely fine. It will not concern Jesus. It will not concern God. God doesn't know about milk. So we don't want to get too hung up on the small stuff. But the point is that we're opening our mind to questioning, to seeing, to inviting the Holy Spirit. And what this is doing is loosening our identity. Because if our true identity is the Spirit, if our true identity is the light, then the identity of our self-concept, which includes this body and the world as I perceive it, that's my self-concept. It's who I believe I am and how I believe I am in relation to the world and everyone in my world. That's what's being loosened from our mind. Because on the surface, the self-concept has the I'm fine, I'm good, I'm doing well. But underneath it is the fear and the displacement of actually I'm not at home. And there is fear underneath, there is guilt underneath. And we've all touched on or immersed in or gone through intense depression or darkness or guilt and fear at different times in our lives, so we know, we're aware of how intense it is when there is that kind of healing happening. But the journey with the Spirit is one of allowing the darkness to come up, allowing the doubt to arise, and through learning to tune in and listen to the Holy Spirit more and more, we're guided through inspiration. Jesus, at one point, he describes the Holy Spirit as the Spirit of joy. The Spirit of joy is the Holy Spirit. So in truth, when we're listening to and following the Holy Spirit, that is the Spirit of joy. That is our heart, our calling, our true desire that we're listening to and following. And that's important because as we're following guidance, healing is going to happen. Because when you're following the Holy Spirit's guidance, what you're not doing is what you would be doing as a self-concept to reinforce yourself as safe in this world. So as you follow guidance, healing happens. Instead of clinging to safety, the fear that was there might come up. Fear of the light, fear of not being in control. And that's also part of the purpose of guidance. It's to know I'm not alone. I'm not making a decision by myself. I'm deciding for God. Every time I decide that I want to follow guidance, instead of doing it my usual way, every time I pause and ask, does this feel like it's in alignment with the Spirit? Every moment, every crack of opening is an opening to the presence of the Holy Spirit in our mind. Whether we hear a specific voice or not is not so important. There's a presence of light that we want to allow to be in our mind more and more consistently.
Can I ask a question?
Mm-hmm.
How come that sometimes guidance, I feel guidance, how come it is so different? Every morning I ask for guidance, and I had 2 experiences this week. I read a sentence of someone from the course, think only love. And during the day I thought of that sentence, and then I had an experience. There was a woman talking to an old woman. She talked to me and said, "Oh, these terrible foreigners. They asked me something. They asked me if they can help me, and I said no. And well, she was very angry about the foreigners. And at that moment, I thought about. At first, I had a feeling to correct her, to make clear that I think in another way. And then I became that sentence, see only love, think only love. And I did. I listened to her, and I remembered she's love and I'm love. And I didn't answer anything, I didn't react, just saw love. And the woman talked a while to me, and then I said I've got to go, and she went away, and I felt so in peace with her and with the whole world. And it was so easy. Just think love. Just see love. And the other day I had a repetition of the choir, and I was sitting there and I just wanted to think love, but it wasn't possible to see love, and there were so many things going on. The director of the choir said, very how do you call it? Narcissistic things, how great and how good he was. And I tried to see love and to think love, but I couldn't. I couldn't. I was just confused, and I decided to see it different, but it didn't. Nothing happened in me.
So what was he showing you? If it's all your mind, what beliefs came up when he was speaking like that? What did it trigger in you? The belief in a narcissist, maybe?
Not
something,
really, because
not really?
I think I know that's the way he shows his being. It's more like, am I right here? Should I be here? How can I be myself here? It's more, it was confusing, and there came a thought of, should I stop going there? That was it. Mm-hmm. It's all right, I know I can forgive it very often how I see him, but I didn't feel at ease in the group anymore. So that was it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's a forgiveness opportunity, and it seems like you've forgiven this before. You've forgiven this man.
Yes.
It's probably not the first time you've had this experience.
No, it's every time I think I got a feeling it's my habit to think of forgiveness.
Yeah.
And still, that's why I said that other experience at first, sometimes I feel I choose love, and and I experience love, and I see love, and sometimes I choose love, and I'm confused, and I don't have the result.
Yeah, sometimes there is a core belief that is playing out. And if you don't get down to seeing the core belief in your mind, then you're trying to choose love over the top of that. Or you're just forgiving your perception of this man, but it's just on the surface. It's on the surface, just forgiving your perception of his tone, his thoughts, his attitude. But if that's just on the surface, it's just what you're perceiving. But deep down, if this is all your mind, and this is a projection of mind, and he's playing something out that's deeper in the mind, a deeper belief. So it's when you trace it down, obviously there's upset, there's emotion, there's probably a lot of thoughts that you have about this man, or the effect it has on the choir, or there's probably other attack thoughts there that are maybe there in your mind. So it's allowing those to all come to the light. And perhaps this is something that you would want to do when you have more spaciousness.
More what?
More time.
More time.
Yeah. To explore on your own, not in the moment when you're right there in the line of fire, but where you have time and space to really see what is there in my mind. What do I really believe?
Well, yes, that's what I do. When I'm alone at home, I think about it and I ask for help. And what comes up is my belief in guilt. Somehow I am guilty. That's what I am. I'm not really convinced of the innocence in me.
Yeah, but you feel guilty, and then you believe that's why he's playing that out. Yeah, that's very general. There's probably some other a more specific way that you can see the beliefs in your mind about yourself, or about him, about men, about the world, about... there's maybe some other more specific beliefs that can be seen or explored.
At the moment, I think it's me. It's not him or the members of the choir or the world. I see it's my belief in guilt. I, as you say, sometimes when I'm still, or at that moment, this is experience with that older woman about foreigners, and I saw love and I felt love. Then I know I'm innocent, and then I know everything and everybody is innocent, but it doesn't. It's not constant. And then I'm impatient with myself.
Well, it sounds like, and you can pray about it if you feel that you are to continue to go to choir. You can pray about it, and then if you feel that you are to go, then this forgiveness opportunity must be for you to practice with, to know your innocence. And then if you know this, if you know that you're guided to go to choir, Like it just, you can tell. The idea of not going to choir would make you feel like separate from God out of protectionism or hiding or grievance. Then if you can feel like, no, I am to go to choir. I wish it was different. But it's not. This is what it is right now. So I trust that this is for my awakening. That this is for my awakening. And if you can approach this relationship assignment with the choir director as being for your awakening, and really see it like that. Like, okay, Holy Spirit, before you go in, just be so ready. Be ready, be prepared. My goal is truth. There's a section in the course, setting the goal section. The goal is truth. And then you're going to see everything that's not truth, and it's welcome. It's welcome. It's allowed. It's the reason you're going to choir.
Yeah. It's the reason I go everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it. Yeah.
And I think I do ask for kindness, but I don't. It's not that I only think. Every morning I start with, "Be you in charge," and I will follow.
Yeah.
During the day, I do forget sometimes, and later on I think about it again. But there's something. Well, that's why I said I'm impatient. There's something feeling about it should be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
You should be different. I should be different. It should be different. He should be different.
Yeah, that's it.
It should be different in me or for me. Or it's just that. Not good enough.
Yeah, and that's it. And we all have had or have these different ones that come into our life, and there is a deep healing assignment there. To the extent that we don't reject it, that we don't push it away or say it should be different, it shouldn't be like this, to the extent to which we can open up just to go, okay, Holy Spirit, this is, and when you can identify very clearly, this is guilt. This is my guilt, this is wrongness, whatever the particular assignment is, then there's an invitation to the Spirit to keep working with the perception, keep working with the interpretations. And it can be helpful to join with someone else too. If there's a mighty companion you can connect with, to say, okay, this is how it played out this week. It's like you're watching a television series. You're like, okay, in this week's episode, the director said this, I felt like this is what happened, and then I felt like I failed as a Course in Miracles student again, because the experience should be loving or whatever, however it plays out, but using it as an assignment. Yeah, really approaching it as an assignment.
This was an example. It's not only in choir. The last time it's in different place, in different groups where nobody knows the course. This director knows the course. He once has seen it. He knows I'm doing the course, but he doesn't do anything with it. It's just in different groups where I think what I'm doing here. I'm feeling I can join a little bit in the conversations, but very often I'm just thinking what I'm doing here. And the choir was just an example.
Yeah. Yeah, so just inquiring with that thought that arises for you.
Yeah.
Am I meant to be here? What am I doing here?
Yeah.
So that's where For you, it's seeing that there is a defense against being present. That thought is coming from doubt. It's coming from the wrong-mindedness, or coming from the ego. So with your practice with that, you can be in practice with that thought.
And it means, I don't know how it is for others, but it means that sometimes I don't say anything. I'm quiet for a long time in groups. I'm just thinking, how am I here? And I'm not. If it's going, I am part of the conversation. Sometimes I do say something, but very often I just don't know what to say and how to be part of it. Mm-hmm. That's the feeling what comes. So I don't belong. Mm-hmm. A little bit like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good. I feel like this is your healing assignment right now. And you're feeling it in different places. And then it can seem more extreme in certain places. But really, and I think everyone can relate to unworthiness. Everyone can relate to unworthiness. Yeah. To that feeling of I don't belong. I don't know how to be. I don't know how to speak. And the projection of that can then go on to others. Oh, they're speaking too much, or they're not good. It's like the mind can then flip into blame or projection out of that unworthiness. But where is worthiness really found? That's the question. Where do you find worthiness? What is worthiness? Does it really come from being a person who talks and interacts in groups? Is that really it? Or does it come from connection with God? And the way to connection with God is mind training. Yeah. Forgiveness. This is our purpose. This is our purpose for us to tune into. And this is what strengthens our mind and brings us certainty. So if you're not feeling the love of God, not feeling the strength of I know who I am, and that's most of the human condition for everyone, a lot of the time. But what we can find is our purpose is an anchor. Our purpose is like an anchor for our mind. That's where we can find the certainty. And in that purpose of forgiveness, I'm here to forgive. There's that doubt thought, I don't know what to say. Okay, Holy Spirit, I give that to you. I choose you. Just to watch my mind, just to be here, just to be present. Oh, there's a reflection of guilt, a reflection of whatever, how I perceive that. Okay, Holy Spirit, I give that to you. Staying with our purpose, because it doesn't matter which way the personalities seem to go. You may have a personality that withdraws and goes quiet and shuts down. Or you may have a personality type that's outgoing and talks a lot. They're just different aspects of personality. One is not more anything than another. It's the connection with the spirit and the connection with purpose is where the consistency is found for all of us. So we're all in the same boat, you could say.
My difficulty at the choir was, I was thinking of how I'm sitting here and what's my purpose, how can I see love, and I have to listen to him because I have to sing the way he wants us to sing. So it was my confusion. I have to listen to what he's saying, the way he's saying. I know that's his way, But
Okay, let's stop right there. That's a judgment.
sorry.
That's judgment. You are judging the way he is speaking. You are judging the way he is. And then over the top of that, you have this idea, I want to see love.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is love? Love is non-judgment.
Yeah.
So, while there is judgment, there is attack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
That blocks love. So you cannot see love. You have to let that go.
I have to what?
Let go.
Let it go.
Let go.
Yeah.
You are there to practice non-judgment,
Yeah.
not to see love.
Yeah.
The vision of love will come to you.
Yeah.
And sometimes, like on your walk, when you met the woman angry about foreigners,
Yeah.
it happened easily.
Yeah.
Beautiful. But at choir, you have a different assignment. You are not a miracle worker at choir.
Yeah. I'm not a miracle worker. Am I not always a miracle worker? But do I understand something? What?
Being a miracle worker is involuntary. But you are trying to see love
Yeah.
with this choir director, but your mind is judging him and then trying to see love. That's not involuntary. There's control.
I see.
Yeah, there's control.
It's more that I'm judging myself.
Yeah.
In that moment.
Yeah.
Maybe I expressed it wrongly because my English is not that
No,
good.
you're judging him. You're judging him. And then there's guilt, so you judge yourself. But you say, no, it's his way. It's just his way. I don't judge his way. To see he has a way is a judgment. It's very, very subtle. It's very subtle, but it's an attack thought in your mind.
Because I have the feeling it's alright the way he is. But you say, when I say, okay, that's the way he is, that's already a judgment?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There is judgment there.
Okay.
There is judgment, which is attack, which is coming from the wrong mind.
Yeah, I see.
And then part of the same mind feels guilty for judging and wants to see love, and the whole thing is stuck. It's stuck.
Yeah.
So your assignment, your mission with God, you have a mission with God, is to see the judgment. Be very, very watching in your mind for the subtle judgment. It's that tone of voice. He has pride.
Yeah.
That's his way. You don't even need to define his way.
Yeah.
But when you have that thought, that's his way.
That's a judgment.
That's another judgment. And just practice with giving your judgments to the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then love will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the judgments.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But there's still something. There's still something I couldn't bring it to you the way I feel it. There's still something that I think I misunderstood. Faster or something like that. It's that I wasn't able to bring it clearly.
Yeah,
Because of the language.
Yes. So right now, that is a belief
Yeah.
that is not true.
Yeah.
So just to see that belief, I believe I'm misunderstood because of language.
Yeah.
That means maybe the help is not actually right.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm still right about my problem and I don't have an answer.
you have an answer.
Yeah.
I do have an answer.
Yeah.
Except that you don't believe it.
Beautiful. I'm with you. I'm really with you. You are seeing something, and this is for everyone, believe me, it's for the whole group right now. Your willingness to be here with me and see this is profound healing. Just to see that.
This is what?
For you to see this belief arise.
Yeah, it's basically
like, but yes, there's a thank you. You could feel the miracle, but there's a but, and that is the self-concept that's defending. It's very, very subtle, but it's saying, I don't want to be completely free.
Yeah.
So there's a reason still to be not quite understood by the Holy Spirit. Yeah.
Well, I just can't really believe him. So we talked about it. Sometimes I feel I'm helped, and then I think, well, wasn't it a coincidence?
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
I do understand this.
Yeah. Very good. Thank you. Thank you. It's good. It's really good to see, because there can be, you can believe that you're weak, you know, and your personality type could be very convincing that you're weak, you're small, you don't know what to say, you're on the outside of the groups. There's a strength under there, something very strong enough to defend against God. That's strong. So we have to learn to see what are my defenses, because there's a real strength under that. So we can use that strength in a helpful way. Use the power of our decision to direct our thinking towards the answer, towards forgiveness. Thank you. Okay, is it for you?
Yeah, but there was some small sentence that you said that was touching me again. Like in this example, when you connect with the Holy Spirit and you can feel that you have to be in the choir, then it's an assignment for forgiveness. And this is something in the guidance that I find myself sometimes difficult to distinguish, to know if I have to stay in a situation because there is forgiveness still going on, or is it guidance that it is maximized? That a certain situation I have learned or
You can translate if you like.
Ja, een aspect van leiding is ook, ben ik aan het leren, dat je soms iets wil volhouden, omdat je gelooft dat er nog vergevingslessen zijn in een situatie of in een relatie of in zo'n koor. Dus je denkt, ja, dat moet ik wel volhouden, want ik heb nog vergevingswerk. Maar ik heb ook gezien dat het soms, dan is het klaar. Het is maximized, dat is een mooi woord. En dat betekent juist, dat is dan de leiding, dat je je daaruit hebt weg te halen, want er zijn geen vergevingsmissen meer, dus het gaat tegen je werken. En het wordt stroperig, het wordt zwaar, het wil niet meer, het functioneert niet meer. En I believe then I have to continue because the forgiveness lessons are not done.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be a sign, now you are holding on to something and want to continue something that's not bringing any new depth.
Mm-hmm.
So then the guidance can be, you have to remove yourself from this situation and go on for the next things to come up.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, the guidance can also be something that doesn't feel harmonious anymore. So it's also a fine line.
Mm-hmm.
For me, still not so easy to distinguish when is it a sign of. So that's why what you said, when you have it clear from the connection with the Holy Spirit that you still have to be part of the choir, then the assignment is still there for forgiveness. Or when do you know? No, it's simply that I do not have to be part of a certain situation anymore. That's why I feel I do not belong anymore. I cannot relate anymore. This is for me always.
Yeah, it's for everyone. I think it's an ongoing learning and an ongoing discernment, and there isn't really a behavioural answer or a form-based answer.
You cannot decide by yourself alone. You have to go to the Holy Spirit. Otherwise, you will be in confusion. And if you are in confusion, you are not with the Holy Spirit.
Well, it's a deep question. It's a deep question because and there's so many variables. So in this case, there was already a knowing of there's an assignment here that's not fully realized. So it was just very clear. Whereas if it's a relationship assignment, we're talking about a whole different realm. And it's always good when it's a real situation, not just hypothetical, because then it's kind of talking about well, you would do this, or make sure you do that, or make sure you know, whereas there isn't really a formula other than opening to seeing, is there healing potential? Is there any aspect of this relationship or assignment where there's avoidance? And so there's still a possibility for depth and new ways to collaborate, to serve the Spirit together, which can give an assignment a whole new life. You know? But a very simple way I have looked at it is, if it's guided, there's healing and there's a feeling of inspiration. Even if there's intense healing, there's still a feeling of the Spirit is behind this. And it may take looking at the ego reasons to not give it up. I was just on a counselling call the other day with a friend in a relationship, and she'd said to me when she was in her silent retreat journaling, she was asking about the relationship and came up with some things that were very important to her. And when she got home, she talked with her partner and he did not agree. He didn't have the same agreements. So when I talked with her, I said, well, maybe you need to look at this relationship, and if you don't have the same agreements, the same purpose and inspiration underneath it, then why are you together? Just look and talk and ask, why are we together? And I told her about this couple who were together in the very beautiful relationship for many, many years. And once a month they had a date. They'd have a coffee on a Sunday once a month, and they would sit there and they would put the relationship on the table. And they would give each other full permission to leave the relationship. And then they would look honestly at and share the reasons why they would not want to leave the relationship. I don't want to be lonely. I don't want to be without you. I'd be scared. Finances, all the ego reasons. And then they would express everything, and then they would feel together. Oh, we do still want to be together. We do feel it. It does feel guided. And then out of inspiration, they would have another whole month together of this relationship assignment. And that went on for years. A very fresh relationship. And then at one point they got married. And then 5 years after getting married, they came to a devotional retreat. And she came, he didn't, and she was talking about this marriage, how it felt dead and it was so heavy and there was no purpose and maybe she should leave the marriage. And then she told this whole story and she remembered how it was. For the first 10 years of the relationship, it was so inspiring and full of new collaboration and life. And I said, what happened? She said, we got married. As soon as we got married, it was like this, some kind of overlay of sleep, complacency. Now this is your role, this is my role. We're in this now. We can just, they didn't have, somehow the vibrancy dissipated. And so by the end of the retreat, she called him and they talked about it and they remembered how vibrant it was. And they said, okay, we need to just, for us right now, it feels guided. We need to let go of this marriage idea. So the concept of marriage is not supporting our awakening right now. And then they came back into this life-filled, inspiring relationship assignment. So it's really about the purpose. It's about the purpose and feeling the Holy Spirit's purpose behind it is the answer. There's a famous story of where David would go on this road trip, and once a year he'd come back to the same place in California, and the same woman came to the gathering and she said, there isn't, I don't know, this relationship with my husband, it's not going so well, and there isn't really a lot of healing, but all I need to do is change my mind about this. And he'd come back a year later, she'd say, it's not really improved, and there's just there's a lot of attack thoughts in my mind, a lot of judgment, and I keep thinking I wish he would change, but all I need to do is change my mind about this. Come back a year later, a year later. So is the Holy Spirit being invited in to this relationship assignment, or is it again, it's an individual's decision, all I need to do is change my mind about this? There's something not working there. It's not really being offered to the Holy Spirit for healing, come what may. But it's very much, particularly when there's healing and resistance, it can be hard to tell. Is this guidance? Is this guided? Or is it really just, is it complete? Is it just resistance? Or is it that I'm really not to be here? So, really prayer and communicating with the Mighty Companion can be helpful, because often the Mighty Companion can help ask questions. Not that they have the answer for you, but they can ask questions to help you look and see what is this for me? What is the purpose and how is it being used now?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I say
Yes.
something? I just felt like when listening to others that there's like a strong belief in that I need to help the other person. Which is now just like gives me a lot of stress and not so relaxed to listen to others. So there's like this belief in there's something wrong, or I just wanted to share that.
Just to expose it, let it go.
Yeah, I would like to let it go. Because it just takes a lot of energy, like, for just being here. I just want to be and just relax and listen. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Question 2. The Course in Miracle and activism. What is awakening? I tried to explain. Mary Williamson, I'm sure you know about her. She is activism in practice, miracle work in practice, and tries to awaken the world and return to love. I spoke with my husband about 5G. The 5G network, and there's a feeling in me it shouldn't be good for people. Not for me, not for animals, but I'm not sure. It's only a thought. I don't know. And sometimes it confuses me when you talk about fear. Is it fear? Yes, is it fear? Fear that probably it's not always feelable, that the money is more important and the power is more important than wellness of people. I think it's a belief. So, do you understand? It sometimes distracts me that I don't know what is the Holy Spirit way of doing things with injustice, perhaps, or things in the world whose war, peace.
Yeah.
The silent attitude, or the stand up attitude.
Yeah. Well, A Course in Miracles is a course in clearing your perception. So it's about healing the mind to know that I am one with God. And he says really the goal of A Course in Miracles is to come in touch with your internal teacher, the Holy Spirit, the voice for God, and he will guide and direct your learning. And he says the function of the miracle workers, or the teachers of God, is awareness of dreaming. Awareness of dreaming. Dreaming.
Yeah.
Awareness of dreaming. So I think that is the answer. Awareness of dreaming is the answer to the question. What do I do? Do I take action? Do I just forgive? How do I look at the 5G situation? How do I look at the Iran pending war possible situation? How do I look at a situation with family members who are struggling? You know, wherever there seems to be conflict, the answer is going to be, my function is awareness of dreaming. the one who was worried or concerned about each of those situations believes it is abiding in this world. Living. The person who is worried about 5G is worried why? What is the reason for worry? Effect on animals? Effect on human health? Yeah. As a person being concerned about the welfare of the other people. So this is all at the realm of being a character in the dream, worrying about the other characters. Right? And Jesus is saying, actually your function is to forgive and be aware of being the dreamer of the dream. That is a totally different perspective.
Yes, I do understand that,
Yeah.
I think.
And you can tell by the way that you feel. So I would say Marianne Williamson was a Course in Miracles teacher many years ago. She was very inspired with A Course in Miracles. And then she went in a different direction. She wrote a book called A Woman's Worth. She had a focus on saving America. She had political interest. And then she was running in the political field. She was taking a stand or taking a side in ways that do not represent the teachings of A Course in Miracles. And when she's invited to places to speak and people assume she's a Course in Miracles teacher, they can be very confused. And they don't understand what's happening. So I would say she's not a Course in Miracles teacher at this time when she's teaching politics or
because she's not what was Bali receiving what happens and be still and as the Holy Spirit.
A Course in Miracles teacher is teaching you to take responsibility for sight and practice forgiveness. And then from a place of peace, then you're guided. You're guided. Yeah. So if there's anything that's in your world where there's concern about health, that's an area for forgiveness. It's really simple.
Because either in that case, it's not the trust. You have lack of trust. Do you mean that? If you're worried about situations, you try to do something about it. It could be goal-driven.
Jesus says trust would settle every problem now. But the trust is not that as a body I'm going to be okay and the health of the planet is going to be okay. That's not where we are to put our faith and our trust. If the world is made as a projection out of guilt, out of the belief in separation from God, that's the ego's purpose for the world. It was not created by God. It was not created out of harmony, and then people messed it up. It was a projection out of guilt. And so the healing of the world is through forgiveness. The world will continue to be a distraction for the mind.
Don't try to fix it.
It'll continue. It will continue. It will continue to be a distraction. Well, I would like to be still and know that I am God, but look what's happening in Australia. I can't actually do anything about the koalas in Australia, but I feel like I want to. Maybe I can send some donations, or and then okay, now looks like there's been some rain. Okay, I think Australia is going to be okay. Now I can be still and know that I am God. Hang on a minute. Now look what's Trump doing. Now look, what is President Trump up to? How can I possibly be still and know that I am God when I need to keep an eye on what's happening over there? Okay, I forgive the politicians. I forgive. I trust. I'm not in the warpath of Iran and America. Okay, I trust. Okay, Holy Spirit, be still and know that I'm God. Oh no, 5G. Or almond milk and the bees. No. It's going to be one thing after another. One thing after another. To preoccupy our mind. And believe me, if Trump steps down, there'll be someone else. There'll be another one. There'll be something else. There's going to be another and another and another and another, because the purpose of this world is distraction. It's distraction. And then how many teachers of God does it take to save the world? Jesus asks. And the world can be saved without a sound. So my function is to forgive and to be so still, to be so connected with the Holy Spirit, to be aware this is a dream. This is a dream. Is there anything to forgive right now? Okay, if there's nothing to forgive, then guess how I see the dream? I see it as neutral. I see it as benign. Benign, with cancer, there's a bad cancer and there's benign. If you have a tumor. Yeah.
Just cancer.
No, just cancer. Or there's a tumor that could be cancerous. That gets a lot of fear, a lot of attention. Or you might see a lump that is, you get a diagnosis, it's benign. It's not a threat. No threat at all. So we are shifting our consciousness from fear, attack, death, imminent death, which is the human condition. There's fear of death underneath.
Whatever happens.
Yeah. Fear of death, because guess what? The mind believes in death. It believes in separation from God. So the world is a projection of the fear and belief in death. And all of these characters are going to play out this fear of death. They're going to experience it in life yourself. You're going to see it playing out, and there's a fear underneath in the mind. So we have to keep bringing it back. Every concerned thought for the body is rooted in the same core belief. Belief in death, belief I'm a body, identification in this world. So the healing is to continually forgive and release and come back, so that our function as a miracle worker is to be the light, to be the voice for peace, the voice for love, a reminder there's something else, there's something higher, there's something else that's worth focusing on. Yeah. But I know it's intense. It's intense. There's certain things that happen that grab. It feels like it just grabs you. Like, not the dolphins. Injustice, exactly. Not children, not whales, not whatever it is that grabs us, not the bees. So we all have the choir director. It's intense. We all have our different assignments that will come at different times for us to practice forgiveness with. And then there is an action component that we we are guided by the Holy Spirit to be a miracle worker. Right? But the purpose for this is coming from the healed mind. So the place where we're being guided from is coming from love. It's coming from the healed mind. I want you to go here and speak these words.
Again.
The guidance from the Holy Spirit may be, I want you, like for example Kirsten, I want you, Kirsten, to go to Holland, hold a gathering and speak these words. That guidance is coming from peace. It's not coming from fear and protectionism.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah. So there's action. I'm active. This last year and a half I have not stopped. I've been around the world a couple of times, to Japan and New Zealand and India and Europe twice and America and but it's guided for my relationship with God. It's guided for awakening. It's guided for the healing of the one mind, of the whole mind, which includes the whole world. Yeah. So I think that's the core, is the purpose of where is this activism. And I like the word, I'm activated. I say that quite often. Like, oh, I'm deactivated today. Like someone's pulled my power switch out and it's time to rest. Or, whoa, I'm activated. Okay, what is it, Spirit? Use me.
You're saying sometimes you feel unactivated?
Mm-hmm.
So then you can just do whatever you like, or how? What does it mean?
That's a good question. Yeah. I think of it as being like a puppet, and the Holy Spirit has the strings. So when I'm activated, He's saying, go to Holland, go to here, go to there, go to... it's activated. And then when the Holy Spirit puts the crossbow down, the puppet, it's time to rest in God. Just rest, be still. And then He'll pick up the strings again.
Just wait for another call for action.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If you are aware that you are the dreamer of the world, the dreamer of all this, then it is over, or not? Or first I have to forgive to see the world as a dream.
Yes.
Last thing.
Yes.
You need to forgive, otherwise you will not see that the world is a dream.
Yes. Yes. Because to see it as a dream, to say the words, it's a dream, it's just thinking. But to experience, when you start to have more of those experiences of coincidences, synchronicity, or when someone is asking for help and you show up and you have a conversation and it feels like, wow, this was perfect. More and more of these moments help the awareness of, oh wow, it's a shift. There's something else. There's the connection. There's a divine guidance or inspiration behind it. Yeah. And then that gets stronger and stronger. And the more you forgive forgive judgment, forgive this part of the mind is being forgiven, being released, that is so fixed, fighting, resisting, holding a position, has guilt. As this is sort of released and healed, and you are able to listen and follow and flow, then the experience is, I'm not in control and I'm not doing it. And that's when it can feel more and more, wow, it's a dream. Yeah. But yeah, it's forgiveness. Forgiveness is the way.
Yeah. But when you have forgiveness, you say it does not happen. And then you say, immediately, it's a dream.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a lot of attachment to the environment because I've been, my whole life, I've been an ecological worker and so on. And every time when then on that field something is happening, my neighbor is poisoning the land or something, then it becomes very hard for me to forgive and to see it as not real, and that is my thing to do.
Yeah, that's your...
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised every time it happens that I'm so bossed away. Yeah. I know that you have been in the same trip, may I say.
Yeah, same trip.
What was the point that it became clear to forgive and to let it go? And was there a turning point?
Yeah. It was more and more getting into my function of serving God. And then my attachment to the world and my concern for the world faded and loosened. I had a strong need for nature because I needed and wanted to be able to go to nature to get away from people. So it was my sanctuary. It was what I considered to be innocence and place of peace, and so needed to be taken care of. And so I was very disturbed when I saw nature being destroyed. And I could see my mind when I would be in conflict, my mind would go towards nature. I want to be in nature. I want to go and be away from this. But through forgiveness, more and more I experienced the peace in my mind everywhere I was. And for example, I think the time when it really released was when I went to Argentina, and I was there with a group of Course in Miracles students, and we had gatherings every day for a month. So over 30 days there was something like 36 gatherings with mornings and evenings, and it shifted my mind. My mind was so full of the Course in Miracles, of every student or person who came. It was just focus on the Spirit, listening for the Spirit. What is the call of the heart? What is your answer? What is the question? What is your answer? This direction for my thinking. So strong over that whole month, and then another month with a smaller group of students. So I was in Buenos Aires, Argentina, in an apartment for 2 months. And it was in the city, so there was honking noises of buses. And in South America, if you've gone, they communicate a lot with their horns, like beep, 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 beep. They just beep, beep, beep all day long. That's their communication. And I'm in this apartment, and I was so content, so happy, so fully used by the Spirit in that apartment. We would just walk down to the restaurant for lunch and back, I did not go anywhere else. And after that, I was like, wow. My mind was more at peace in that apartment, inner city apartment, surrounded by noise, with all of those people coming and coming and coming and coming, than sitting in nature, dealing with attack thoughts or, other thoughts. And after that, it started to shift, because my need for nature started to be washed away. I didn't need nature for peace of God anymore. I was starting to find the peace of God in my function. Yeah. So I feel this is a very important part of our healing. We need a replacement for this world. We need a replacement, because we have a very powerful mind. Our mind is always busy, always active. Unless it's in meditation and still. But for the most part, it needs to be directed. Directed towards what is helpful, how we can be used in our purpose. Otherwise, it will keep focusing on the world, trying to fix it or change. Even if it's your house, anyone who owns their own house knows how home improvement never comes to an end. It can't. It's home improvement. So there's always going to be something. And there's nothing wrong with working on your house if it's guided. And if the purpose behind it is for your relationship with the Spirit. But if you find your whole existence is caught up in focusing on working on a house and being aware of problems of the world, then there's something more. There's going to be a calling to open up more to healing potential.
The question of focusing on love or on the world, and the things who are going wrong.
Or need fixing. We come all the way back to extension or projection. And it can be even, I've seen someone with a cat who becomes so preoccupied, or a friend had 2 dogs who were getting elderly, ended up in dog nappies, dog medications. She had a husband who was not well, she had dogs who were not well. Her whole life is on sickness with her dogs and her husband. So much, all she could see was need, and she was the caregiver providing the answer to the needs. That became a whole identity and a whole focus. So the mind will always become occupied with its world. So we need to become aware of what is the focus. What am I using this for? What am I using my mind for? Every relationship, every conversation, truly, what is it for? What thought system is being reinforced? Am I reinforcing the ego thought system in my mind? Is it gossip? Is it just talking about people and problems? Even under the idea that I love them, I'm talking about them because I care about them. If it does not result in forgiveness, if it does not result in a feeling of inspiration and healing, it's projection. It's projection. Whereas if I'm using a conversation with, this is how I'm perceiving someone I care about and it's disturbing me, I want to heal my mind, that's a very different purpose for the conversation and the world. So more and more we're learning what is the purpose. Truly, what is this for? To free my mind.
Last I take it.
If I come back to the example of the choir or a similar situation, and I try to ask or to feel into it. Usually I don't feel either way, and I'm quickly back to reasoning or trying to figure it out, or but always ending with I have no clue, I don't know. If a situation presents itself and a lot of resistance comes up, a lot of fear, but no inspiration to go with it, is this can I take this as clue that this is exactly where I have to go because of the resistance and because of the fear, even though I do not feel that it is guided, or even though there's no inspiration underneath, or at least not perceivable to me? Or, of course, if it comes up, it's always a forgiveness lesson, but if there's some decision on activity or whatever attached to it, and and very, very often I'm just I just don't know, and I cannot discern by how I feel. Probably, that's a normal problem. I guess everyone has it, but who cannot discern yet probably who is not connected to the guidance in a way that specific guidance is being perceived. Because I know that if I don't hear, then I don't want to hear in a way, or I'm afraid. But I guess the question is if there's something about presenting itself, and I meet it with resistance and fear. Should I?
No, I don't.
Can I take this as guidance?
No, I don't think you can draw a conclusion like that.
That was the question. Can I conclude on that?
No.
But if nothing really sparkles, it's difficult to, in which direction, or to go in a certain direction if nothing really sparkles.
Yeah.
Follow your joy, and I don't know, I feel a little stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't put too much pressure on it. It's more just if there's a feeling or an idea of a direction, it's okay to move in the direction without you don't want to get too concerned about, I need to know if it's guidance before I can move. So I would say if you just don't know and nothing's sparkling and you can't tell, then, but something becomes obvious. So you can just be open to going in the direction, just feel open. I would treat it as an experiment. As an experiment for forgiveness. And then being open to, just open to the miracle of show me you're with me. Have that prayer. Show me that you're with me. Give me a sign.
Yeah, make it obvious.
What's that?
Yeah, please make it obvious.
Yeah.
Give me a sign. I do this. I put out these prayers, but I don't know. I'm not really good at this with signs and symbols. Go into the direction and see what happens, right?
There can be such a deep fear of getting it wrong.
Of getting dragged into something, pulled into something, and you can't go back. If you make this move. So you find out too late whether it's
right.
It's right or not. That's also just a fear, just a belief underneath probably.
So just, that's it. There's a deep fear of getting it wrong. So then no matter whether you're following guidance or not, it would be blocked when there's fear. So I would just be very gentle with this whole idea of guidance, just not to have pressure on yourself with it, and just open to the possibility that perhaps you're going to be guided anyway.
Oh, I am. It's not that of course I am. There are a lot of synchronicities, a lot of miracles happening, even recently.
Yeah.
I'm not saying...
Cato's showing up. And
it's amazing. So I know that I am guided in a way, but there's no specific situation as it has come up. It brings up this fear, and I said, oh yeah, I probably should be doing this because it makes sense and blah blah blah. This is not, I'm in the head again, you know, I'm in the mind again, or my ego is telling me all good or bad reasons, and I don't want to go there, but since I don't feel anything, or I don't know, I can't really, I just don't know, right, so I can't feel it, so therefore, don't draw conclusions, so maybe I just wait.
Yeah, I would put no pressure.
Nothing. Decide nothing, but it's difficult, you know.
Yeah.
Or seemingly pressure is put onto you, and seemingly, you feel that you're pressured into making a decision to do something, or maybe prematurely, and of course there comes in, I'm not here to to meet other people's expectations. I'm still too much into this human condition.
I think just use it for forgiveness, like just everything you're expressing right now. It's instead of putting the pressure on, I need to know what to do if this is guided or not, is take this as a forgiveness assignment. All that it brings up for you, use it to practice and be very conscious with, to strengthen the fact that you're practicing forgiveness and that you're mind watching and that you are committed to not making a decision out of doubt and out of fear of what you should do. That in itself is going to be strengthening your connection with the Holy Spirit. But if you're just in all of those thoughts and you're like, but what do I do? It's reinforcing doubt, self-doubt. I don't know what's guided. I never know what's guided. It's like, and it's before you know it's a total eclipse and you're in nothing but that identity of doubt. So it's practicing this, maybe an offer, an invitation has suddenly brought up all of this for you. So just use it, work it, with no pressure on needing to know the outcome.
Yeah, that's the hard part.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Yeah, we're very addicted to needing to know. We want to feel safe, so we want to know what to do. Not just now, but next week, next month, next year, and in 5 years. And then I can be still and know that I am God. But it takes so much of letting go of the guilt and the fear of this belief in time. So we're all in this big healing mission together to be released from this way of thinking.
Are we going to practice this afternoon with writing and stuff and listening, or
not
the plan?
I need to know. I will pray over lunchtime and find out exactly what it is. And not writing. It won't be writing this afternoon, because if it is, then usually we all know in advance and everyone knows to bring pen and paper. So it's not writing this afternoon, but there will be something experiential for listening and following, practicing with that. Some action.
Out of that, we did last time a beautiful exercise together about listening and making the holding space for the other. And we both had the experience of this is paradise.
Mm-hmm.
This is paradise. And from that moment on, I feel and I see my withdrawal of, well, it's not a withdrawal, but I don't feel any movements to friends, to whatever. It's the same with her, what she said, I don't feel any sparkle. I'm not depressed, but there is no, even for this meeting, I was like, not feeling in, and that the movement of going was like, oh gosh. And your last saying of, okay, don't make a commitment. If you don't feel any decision out of doubt, don't do it. So that gives a help, but actually I'm when you were sitting silently, when everything was here in a rumor of words, it's really my longing. But I don't know. I don't know how. It's my longing. And it's with every decision making, calling a friend, or I don't do it because I don't feel to. So I find it a really difficult time of resting in God. About giving up the normal way of socializing. And I read your book when you went to your family and you stopped kind of socializing how you were used to. And I try to do it, but actually before I'm in already with friends, I start, doing the whole thing. So. And maybe it's time to really retreat and not doing anything and not going if it's not feeling like.
Yeah.
So I'm in kind of in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the answer. I'm in a kind of in between.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's very normal. It's very normal direction, and Jesus describes in the development of trust section. Okay. There's 8 different phases or stages, but in some of those stages it's like things fall away, and it may seem like some things are being taken away as well if there's a attachment to them or that there's also a sorting out phase. The next phase is a sorting out of what is valuable from what is valueless. And what used to be valuable starts to just shift and change. It's like, is this actually supporting my connection with the Holy Spirit right now? Is this supporting my desire to be with God right now? Or does it feel like it's actually pulling my attention away? And that naturally becomes more and more unbearable. Unbearable. Because the attraction to God is getting stronger and stronger to the point where it's all you want. So you'll find that your mighty companions will be showing up. That's right there in the development of trust too, saying, we want that too. We want that too. We want to be supported by being with companions who just want to talk about healing and awakening and listening to guidance and practicing with this together and meditating together. So it may be you're called to retreat from the world as your world has been. And maybe it is a period of silence, alone. I don't know. Or it could also be that it's joining with companions who also are feeling a similar calling. Yeah.
But how did you do it with your family? You stopped in a kind of conversation, like, because it was for everybody. I mean, it's like, how do I implement? I heard you saying the mighty companions, but there are still friends who are on the same track. But still, it's like.
Yeah. Well, you just start with guidance. You have to start with a commitment to guidance. So if you're invited to come to a family event, for example, that you would normally automatically, as a family member, say yes to, you have to stop for a moment and say, okay, Holy Spirit, here's an invitation. Am I guided to go here? What is it for? And if I say yes, is it out of obligation? Is it out of guilt? Is it responsibility? Or do I feel that there's an inspiration behind it? There's a real relationship opportunity to communicate behind it. Yeah. And this is just a natural step of commitment with God. And what I did is I gave myself permission to say I don't know. Because I used to always say yes. Of course. Yes, 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 yes. Without asking. So I gave myself permission to say I don't know. I'll let you know. And that gave me space to then pray, go through the guilt of fear of abandonment, fear of rejection. They won't know that I love them if I don't show up. You know, you have to go through everything that's underneath this self-concept that's been playing the roles. You have to allow what's underneath it, the guilt, to come up to be healed. And then there are certain ones who would ask me. And if they asked me, I took that as an invitation. They'd say, "Oh, you don't know? Really? Why? What's going on?" And I'd say, "Well, I'm feeling quiet right now. I really feel it's important for me to take a more quiet time right now." And that was my invitation for them to join in support of the calling. Yeah. To communicate what's important, what I need to do. And that was important too. That was very helpful when I communicated. Because if I didn't communicate, I would feel like I'm just cutting something off. And then the belief in abandonment is too intense.
Yeah.
The belief in rejection comes up and is very intense. Because you will face those beliefs, they're already in the mind. Anger, rejection, abandonment, betrayal. This is all underneath. It's already there. We've been hiding from it by playing the roles, and so it's going to be there. But the way that I found it was most gentle in facing it was to communicate where there was an opening. Yeah. Not to start talking about my spiritual journey to those who were like, what do you... It was more where it was very natural. Can you come? I don't know. Oh, why? Quiet. Oh, okay. Tell me more. Or, oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. Okay.